G'day, mate, and welcome to Friday Facts 340. And I've got deep. We're doing deep desyncs, and Mojo's away. He's not well, so I've got my replacement Australian here with me. Hello, Locator.
G'day. Nice to be back.
Yeah, it's always good to have two Australians do the Friday Facts. I figure it's sort of fitting. But yeah, this one's a bit of a short Friday Facts. It's different.
It certainly is, but it's talking about help for mods, so that's always one of my favourite subjects. So
yeah. Background in case anyone missed it: Locator is the grand creator of the SpaceX mod and Train Supply Manager, and I feel like there's another one that I'm forgetting.
Maybe you know about things that other people don't know about.
Oh, okay. So more yet to be released mods. But yeah, actually, he wrote the mod that I'm currently using in my next series, which will be all about me launching subscribers into space. After I finish the Rocket Rush, which is probably got another week to go. We'll see. But yeah, Friday Facts. So this is written all by Clonan, and it starts off with not mentioning it would be weird. So because of the current situation in the world, they're all working from home. The team is still going, and so far they're following their plan quite well. They don't have anybody sick or unwell, which is always good to hear. But yeah, they say it's still early days. We haven't really had an experience having the whole team work remotely. So maybe some challenges they need to tackle as time goes on. The moment they don't know whether this will affect their 1.0 release date. But he figures it will one way or another. And I tend to agree. Like, either somehow they're going to become super productive and they'll slip in some extra features in before 1.0 comes out, or they'll work out everybody working remote means they play games all day and they don't actually write any code.
Well, I've worked quite a lot from home, not just because of this current situation and not as usual from my current employ, but there are some things that you just get done better if you can have a quick conversation face-to-face than doing it remotely.
Yes.
Certainly the technology is there to support most things that you would do in an office, in a virtual office environment. So
yeah, look, nowadays, because they're writing code, everybody is just a phone call away, and with stuff like Discord, it's not that hard to share a desktop, but it's still the case of walking over and tapping somebody on the shoulder and saying, hey, can you have a look at this? Is probably still faster.
Yes.
So,
or just, you send an email because something's not quite right, and then you're waiting for somebody else to send an email back.
Yeah.
And then they've gotten, because a certain amount of what you convey to somebody is actually through like body language to get the actual meaning. That's not conveyed in emails, but it is if you just talk,
Yeah.
So
this is why I'm a fan of, like, people text me all the time. I'm like, if it's important, they'll call me. If they're texting me, it's probably not that important. But yeah, they're continuing with business as usual. And on another note, their eShop is still remaining operational. So somebody's definitely going to the office to at least ship out the t-shirts. And I want to say it's the stickers. The stickers they announced a couple of weeks ago with the Factorio guy on it. But yeah, they can't guarantee anything, but at least you can order from us, and we should be able to get your shirts to you soon. Hopefully.
Right.
International shipping delays and all that sort of stuff. Yep.
Shipping delays, and of course, the shipping to Australia not being exactly the most economical, but we're always on that short end of the stick.
Shipping to Australia is great at the best of times. I remember Mojo telling us that he waited like 3 months to get his original Factorio shirt when he originally ordered it. So yeah, they're not quick to ship. Well, they're not quick to arrive, but a lot of that has to do with just shipping stuff into Australia is painful and slow.
Yes.
But yeah, we go on to deep desyncs. So this is probably the guts of the Friday Facts. Last week there were quite a few more players than usual playing, and Factorio number 2 was released. During this week, Clonan and Boss Kid received quite a few desync reports with mods. Generally, we believe that it's probably the mods causing the problem, and it's quite easy to cause a desync with control scripting if you don't know some very important gotchas. But we still decided to investigate to help the players and find out which mod was causing the problem. And then we have Serpent Silic references. Is that right?
Cyclic.
There we go. And this is one I guess Clonan's got some first-hand experience with. So if you take his construction drones mod, you have a player which dispatches the drone to go make it work. They're the equivalent of personal construction robots. The player needs to track what drones he owns, and the drones need to remember which player they belong to. So we have global entities, which is Clonan and the drone itself. Then we have Clonan is attached to the drone, and it's attached to drone number 1, and drone number 1 is attached to Clonan, and his order is build entity. So he's off to build something, I assume. Is that right?
Yeah, one would think.
Yeah, I'm close. I'll take that. He's the coder. He knows this stuff. Now this works fine during runtime. You can access the drone, the player, the object can access the player, and well, you can access the drone from the player object and then access the player from the drone object when the game is saved. The Serpent goes through all the data in global and serializes it for later. Handle cyclic references. Cyclic. I'm going to get it wrong every time.
I know. You'll probably make a point of it now, right?
Yep. If the Serpent text is seen an object array, it writes a placeholder value and comes back to fix it later. The problem with the Serpent is the Serpent shows nil as a placeholder value. In lieu of writing a table with a value as nil, it's the same as deleting the key, and the key won't be seen when looping the table in the future. When the Serpent goes back to fix up the placeholder values, it ends up with each peer saving a different table order because of some even deeper technicalities with their custom version of Lua.
There's two things here that are just. I just want to rip the remaining part of my hair out. Lua's penchant for using nil and how it treats nil when you reference it in code, and the custom version of Lua is so much fun as well. At least of late. Certainly, this wasn't available early on when I first wrote SpaceX. For example, but they now tell you more about some of the ways their custom version works, but it wasn't initially out there. So
they've got their API and their list of how their APIs and all that sort of stuff work has become easier for people to access to write mods, because I remember in the early days it was a lot of you need to be fairly good at coding to start with, and then you need to do a lot of write it, test it, see what breaks, rewrite it, test it again, see what breaks that time, so on and so forth.
And certainly, I mean, with some of what they're actually doing within their custom version of Lua not being generally well known at the time, because we're talking about version 12 when I first wrote SpaceX, and certainly the information they provide now is far better than it was then.
Version 12 is like 5 years ago, for those that are curious.
Yeah, it's a while ago.
About that long? Yeah. The problem was deep and quite hard to find, but the fix is quite simple. Boss Kid simply changed the placeholder value from nil to a 0, and now the iteration order is saved and loaded correctly every time. And this is one Clonan himself was trying to hunt down for a while, because if you look at the Construction Drones mod that he linked to, he, 10 days ago, fixed some deep desync issues with the construction drones. And then if we look at the mining drones, he, again, about 10 days ago, fixed the deepest, darkest desync in the depths of the Serpent serialization logic.
Oh, good grief.
and this is what's written on the changelog. If you actually look at his GitHub page, he's fixed this desync issue 4 different ways. That I know of, or roughly about 4 different ways that I know of, and we've been watching the mining drones because we want to use it on a community map, and it kept having desync issues time and time after again. He'd test it, it'd be passed, it'd be perfect. We'd load it up, and within 2 days, it'd be like, nope, we're getting desync issues all the time. Remove that one mod. Oh look, they all magically went away. So
you guys are very good at testing people's mods.
Yes, we are.
Where no one else does.
Yeah. TSM is very, very, very finely tested every single month, and we generally find a new way to crash it every month. Anyway, unit group max speed. So another report came in from a player using Factorio 2 and Rampant mods. This one, on the surface, seemed like one of the mod's faults, since all the diffs in the desync report were relating to unit positions, and Rampant mod is all about units. The desync looked extremely fragile. It was very hard to reproduce, but eventually Boss Kid managed to narrow it down. This is a screenshot taken at the exact tick the desync occurred. Now, you've probably already read the rest of the Friday Facts. Guess what it was, not having that knowledge. Can you take anything from this picture?
Nothing whatsoever. When I first looked at this picture, there was nothing obvious whatsoever, really. Other than, at a stretch, there's slightly discoloured goop on the ground, but that's about it.
Well, originally when I saw the goop, I'm like, because that was the thumbnail that the Discord chose, I'm like, yay, they're finally added back the biter creep that they had in, that they'd removed, that they were bringing back. Turns out it's the one in Factorio, because a mod added it before vanilla did. But yeah, and I found out I run a community map every month, and I've actually got one of my members also runs a second community map with about a 2-week offset. So I had a chance to play Factorio. And I know that goop slows down movement, and that was my guess, just by the fact that the biters were about to walk across it and it was causing desync issues. And lo and behold, that's exactly what it was. And it's also what jumped out to Clonin immediately. The biter just moving onto the creep. This will be the creep from Factorio 2 gives the units a speed penalty when walking on it. He did a quick experiment by commenting out the modified code in the engine, and the desync did not occur again. But of course, removing the code here would only treat the problem, and the cause would be something deeper. And if you go back to Friday Facts 296, I think it was, that one was seeding, did the exact same thing. Went down a deep, dark desync hole to find out that the problem was technically with base Factorio, but showed up so rarely that, and it was only when using modded stuff. But yeah, one of those hard to find ones.
It was good to see the general trend of finding these things, though, because one less issue going forward.
Yeah, it's one less issue, and like this is a perfect one. So this only shows up. Well, finish the rest of this. So what actually happened is a unit group, so a group of biters, has a max speed based on the slowest unit of the group. So small biters move slower than a medium biter, and a medium biter moves slower than a big biter. I think behemoths run at the same speed, or maybe they get another speed boost. I can't remember. So they all have a set speed, moving at the speed of the slowest unit, so they all run together. And this max speed value is not saved with the save game, but recalculated each time the game was loaded. Since the unit was walking on the creep, its speed was affected, so the group calculated a lower max speed when the game was loaded. Now this logic's been in the game for unit groups since the beginning, but in version 17, they added 2 really nice mod capabilities to allow units to be affected by tiles, which now means in the past you could put down concrete in your base and you could run away from biters faster than biters could catch you because you got a movement speed bonus, but they didn't.
Yep.
That no longer works, which is really unfortunate when you happen to be playing biter hell and you've got concrete everywhere and the biters run faster. And they also allowed scripts to change unit speeds directly, which is awesome, and it means stuff like Clonin's construction drones move at the same speed the player does. So as you move faster because you've got more exoskeleton legs and that sort of stuff, the drones also actually move faster, which is again like little quality of life feature. If you had your personal robots, like even when they're out of power speed, was as fast as what you moved, you'd never be in a situation you ran off and left a bot miles and miles and miles behind.
Oh, we all know about that.
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, this problem didn't come up. Initially, as free play base game doesn't really use these capabilities. They do use it by affecting by tiles, but it'll be a speed boost, and not many people concrete anywhere where a biter's going to be. And they don't allow scripts. Well, vanilla Factorio doesn't use scripts to change unit speed directly. So yeah, they hadn't really encountered it in free plays, but it's good to point out that every change has the potential to break things, and these were changed quite some time ago. Like they were changed in 17. We've had a full stable release of 18 since. Well, a stable
Well, I
of
guess
17 and then experimental 18. Yep.
the thing is that you introduce these features, they're not automatically going to be the instance they come out. Right, I need that in my mod instantly. I mean, very
Correct.
occasionally that probably is the case, but people take advantage of the functionality as it works in the time frame of development of mods. So it's not. I mean, this is certainly what I'd expect to be more the case, that it's some considerable time after it's first introduced that it seriously gets tested. And
Well, 9 times out of 10, things are added into the base code mod API wise is because somebody has requested to have that feature. And then the devs have looked at it and gone, yeah, that's probably a good feature to have. And a couple of other people have made the same request. At which point the devs go, okay, yep, we can dedicate some sort of coding time to getting that feature added. And then, yeah, you'll find a mod or two, maybe out of the 10 modders that asked for the feature, use it straight away. But then you need thousands and thousands of hours of playtesting because obviously this has been in rampant for quite some time. But again,
yes.
it would only show up if biters happen to be walking on concrete in a multiplayer game.
Yes, and the multiplayer part of that is very important because obviously in a solo game you're not getting a desync issue.
Correct.
So,
Like I was running rampant on my save in biter hell with concrete everywhere, and I had biters on the concrete all the time because I'd concreted well past my lasers and everything else out in the middle of no man's land. But yeah, no issues because it was all single player. I can't get a desync on single player, so it has to be multiplayer. It has to tick so many boxes to actually get something in desync.
it probably takes a while for a mod that has utilized the new functionality that's been requested to get to a point where it's using the new feature in a multiplayer scenario where the potential of, in this case, a fairly rare but existing desync issue is going to come up. I guess that, that's why I don't expect things to show up immediately.
Oh no! Look, some things will show up immediately. Other ones will take time. This is one of those rare has to tick 3 boxes in a row situations, which would take time for it to show up. My community maps launch every single month, and guaranteed for the first day there's going to be 3 or 4 desyncs, and we've got a long list of mods, and we try and work out which ones it is by pulling out different mods, and that's really all you can do. That's the other thing. You never know if it's bad mod coding, or in the rare case, it's bad Factorio coding. And this happens to be bad Factorio coding, which is even harder to diagnose, because even if you get a desync report and you compare the differences, you'd send it off to the mod creator of Rampant, and he'd have to look at it and go, and then reproduce it and go, okay, it's not my mod. And then tell the devs.
Yeah, it's quite hard, really, in that sort of situation. I mean, what the devs say at the beginning of this, that normally they just blame the mod creator, it probably is, to be fair, largely an issue of mods, because good knowledge of, as they mention, it's quite easy to cause a desync with the control scripting.
Oh yeah.
It was certainly a learning. It was never much of an issue with SpaceX, because that just presents information to you. But obviously, with the much more dynamic GUI you have with the Transply Manager, it took a while to fully appreciate what actually needed to be done to insulate it from desyncs.
Well, even Muppet, who's done a bunch of mods and has run mods on my community maps and other people's maps in the past, he had 2 mods, 100% stable, worked perfectly together. We ran them 1 month, not an issue. We ran them the next month, and I think it was literally changing a map setting. I think it was changing a map setting in Vanilla Factorio made these 2 mods, when together, cause a desync. And it's just you couldn't pick it. You couldn't pick it because we'd run them in the past. We'd run them a couple of times in the past on previous versions, and they've been rock solid. So, yeah, Factorio modding and desyncs, 9 times out of 10, people just go, no, we're going to pull a mod and see what happens. And we've done the same. We've started with 40 mods at the start of the month, end of the month with 10 mods, because we just kept pulling mods till we found whichever one or possible group remove the desync issue. And by then, people just want to play. They just don't want to reinstall mods and work the list back up, which is a giant pain. It's something I actually have to do for Oxy Not Included, which means every single time it has an update, I literally sit in front of the computer for 6 hours reloading the game one by one to turn on and off different mods, because it doesn't have a pretty GUI that says, this is the one that caused the crash when loading the game. We're going to turn off just that one mod, which Factorio does. But yeah, it's just nasty.
Yeah, for all my, I guess, slight dislike of Lua and special versions of Lua, I do have to say that the interface that we have for getting mods in and out of Factorio and developing them generally is pretty good. I mean, even something like Minecraft doesn't even come close, really, to how easy it is to do it in Factorio. I only know about the Minecraft. I don't play Minecraft myself, but my daughters do. And just sorting out their mods for them is something of a pain.
That sounds like a nightmare. I've looked at Minecraft and mods once and went, nope, it either works on first boot or I ain't touching it.
It's not even close.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
Yeah. So yeah, as for this Friday Facts, Oxford made it so the unit will notify the group to recalculate its max speed when it is necessary. That's it. It's fixed. Because there's only 2 special cases where the unit speed can change. So yeah, desyncs have been fixed. Hopefully no more issues. Also, hopefully Clonan can not have to force more desyncs desyncs out of his mining drones and his construction drones. Because honestly, the construction drones, actually, I really, really like. They make early robots rather than flying robots, which is just crap because they've got no upgrades. The construction drones are really, really good to play with. And the mining drones, they're just cute. It's cute to see 115, 140 little engineers out mining your iron patch and your copper patch and your coal and your stone rather than putting down electric miners. It's just, yeah.
It gives you a feeling of being a true overlord, doesn't it?
It does. It's great. But yeah, that's it for Friday Facts 340. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do hope you've enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.